If you're paying close attention to Alabama football right now, something feels different. Not loud, not obvious, but definitely there. Because while most of the conversation is stuck on rankings, transfers, and outside pressure, there's a quieter movement unfolding behind the scenes in Tuscaloosa. And the truth is, most people aren't even looking in the right direction. Before we go any further, make sure you're subscribed to the channel and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I'm reading every single one. And stay with me until the end, because there's a part of this story that could completely change how you see Alabama moving forward. Now here's the part that's starting to raise questions. From the outside, it looks like Alabama is going through a transition. New leadership, new dynamics, new expectations. But what if this isn't just a transition? What if it's something more calculated? Because when you start connecting the signals, a different picture begins to form. Not chaos, not decline, but adjustment. Fast, intentional, and maybe even necessary. And that adjustment has a name. It has a face. It has a number on its back. And it's happening right now, in spring practice, inside those walls in Tuscaloosa that most cameras never get to see. Let's start with something that usually doesn't happen this quickly at a program like Alabama. Young players, freshmen, stepped into relevance earlier than expected during the 2025 season. Not just rotating, not just learning, but actually pushing for roles and making real contributions when it mattered. Cornerback Dijon Lee didn't just rotate in as a backup. He emerged as a starter. Offensive lineman Michael Carroll didn't just sit and learn the system. He supplanted a more experienced player for the starting right tackle spot. Tight end Caleb Edwards caught passes in 8 games as a true freshman, and he wasn't doing it because the depth chart was thin. He was doing it because he earned it. When Edwards was asked about his role this year, he didn't sugarcoat it. He said he wouldn't say he expected it. He always knew he could play, but he understood that most freshmen don't get that opportunity, and he was grateful for it. That kind of self-awareness from a freshman at Alabama tells you something. These players aren't being handed anything. They're competing and winning, and that changes the rhythm of the program entirely. Because at Alabama, historically, development followed a precise timeline. Under Nick Saban, players were built, refined, and unleashed at the right moment. It wasn't rushed. It was engineered. But now, under Kalen DeBoer, that timeline might be compressing. And whether that's by design or by necessity, the result is the same. A program that is younger, faster evolving, and potentially more explosive than people are giving it credit for. And nowhere is that more visible than at the most important position on the field. Quarterback. Because what Alabama is building at that position right now might be the most quietly audacious thing happening in all of college football. Think about this. 5-star Kalen Russell was the number 2 overall recruit in the entire 2025 class. He came to Tuscaloosa with enormous expectations. And in his true freshman season, he took a backseat, not because he wasn't talented, but because he was learning. He was growing. He appeared in 2 games, threw for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns, and, more importantly, he was absorbing a system, building mental toughness, and watching how winning is done at the highest level. Now fast forward to 2026 spring practice. The dynamic has completely changed. Ty Simpson, the starter who helped Alabama reach the SEC championship and the college football playoff, is off to the NFL draft. The job is open, and Kalen Russell, who was 3rd on the depth chart just months ago, is now competing directly for the starting spot against redshirt junior Austin Mack. What DeBoer said about Russell during spring practice should make every Alabama fan stop and pay attention. He said Russell is almost at the point where he doesn't have to think when he calls plays in the huddle. The game, according to DeBoer, is starting to slow down for him. He's calling plays with confidence. He's commanding respect in the huddle. He's showing the kind of presence that you can't manufacture and you can't teach, the kind that just emerges when a player is ready. And then came a day. Alabama's annual spring game. And while you should never draw sweeping conclusions from a spring scrimmage, what Russell showed was hard to ignore. The kind of performance that puts a player in pole position. The kind that makes scouts and fans lean forward in their seats and ask, is this the guy? According to analysts covering the game, Russell's spring performance showcased why the redshirt freshman might be on the verge of becoming a true breakout star in 2026. And DeBoer and offensive coordinator Ryan Grubb, who have developed 4 consecutive NFL draft quarterbacks between them, believe they have the best quarterback room in the country. Think about that track record for a second. Jake Haener at Fresno State. Michael Penix Jr. at Washington, Jalen Milroe at Alabama, Ty Simpson at Alabama, all developed under DeBoer and Grubb. All went in the NFL draft. And now they're handing the keys to a player who, by nearly every metric, might be the most physically gifted of them all. If even a fraction of that potential translates in 2026, this isn't just a story about Alabama recovering. This is a story about Alabama unleashing something that's been building quietly for over a year. But let's zoom out for a second. Because what's happening at Alabama isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening inside a college football landscape that is more competitive, more chaotic, and more unpredictable than at any point in the sport's history. The transfer portal changed everything. Programs that used to take years to build can now reload in a single offseason. And programs that used to rely on that slow, methodical development pipeline, like Alabama under Nick Saban, have had to adapt or fall behind. And that raises an important question. Is Alabama's accelerated timeline happening because the system is evolving, or because the environment around college football is forcing programs to move faster than ever before? Because if it's the second option, and there's compelling evidence to suggest it is, then this isn't just a tactical change. It's a survival mechanism, and programs that figure out how to blend traditional development with modern adaptability will be the ones that dominate the next decade of college football. Georgia Bulldogs football is doing it. Texas Longhorns football is doing it. Programs like Ohio State and Penn State are doing it. They are not resting on legacy. They are building structures that can survive the chaos. And what Kalen DeBoer is quietly doing in Tuscaloosa suggests he understands this better than most people realize. He's not abandoning the Alabama way. He's modernizing it. And the difference between those two things is enormous. Here's where the story gets genuinely fascinating. Because all of this internal development, the young players stepping up, the quarterback battle, the spring momentum, would mean nothing if the pipeline feeding it was slowing down. If the top recruits were choosing Georgia, if they were choosing Texas, if they were choosing anywhere else. But that's not what's happening. In fact, what's happening in Alabama's recruiting right now might be the most significant indicator of the program's long-term health, and almost nobody is talking about it loudly enough. Let's go position by position, starting at the top. Alabama has now landed a top 5 quarterback recruit in 3 consecutive recruiting cycles. Not 2, 3 in a row. In 2025, it was Kalen Russell, the number 2 overall player in the class. In 2026, it was Jet Tamala, a 5-star prospect who is currently building behind Russell. And now, in the 2027 class, Alabama has already secured the commitment of Elijah Haven, the consensus number 1 quarterback in the country. Let that sink in. The number 1 quarterback in the 2027 class. A 6'4", 220-pound dual-threat quarterback out of Dunham High School in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. A player who led his high school to a state championship, threw for over 3,900 yards and 62 touchdowns as a junior, added nearly 800 rushing yards and 11 touchdowns on the ground, and won the Gatorade Louisiana Player of the Year award. That player chose Alabama, over Georgia, over every other program in the country. And here's what makes that even more significant. Haven isn't some small market recruit who didn't have other options. He's ranked the number 2 overall recruit in the entire 2027 class by 247 sports, second only to a defensive end committed to Ohio State. He had every major program in the country chasing him. And he chose the Crimson Tide. No other program in the country, over the same 3-cycle stretch, has landed more than 1 top 5 quarterback. Not Georgia, not Texas, not Ohio State. Alabama has landed 3. That doesn't happen by accident. That doesn't happen because of a brand name on a helmet, even one as powerful as Alabama's. That happens because elite players believe in what they're being told. They believe in the system. They believe in the development. They believe in the opportunity to become the next quarterback that DeBoer and Grubb turn into an NFL player. And when the best quarterbacks in the country believe that about your program, the players who have every option in the world, that is the most powerful recruiting signal you can send to every other position on the field. Now connect these pieces together. Because individually, each one is interesting. But together, they start to form a pattern that points clearly in one direction. Young players are emerging ahead of schedule, contributing at the highest level of college football as true freshmen, not just playing, but starting and impacting games. The most important position on the field, quarterback, is entering 2026 with a battle between 2 talented players, the the winner of which is backed by a coaching staff with arguably the best track record of quarterback development in modern college football. The recruiting pipeline is not just holding, it is strengthening. 3 consecutive years of top 5 quarterback commits. A 2027 class that already features the number 2 overall recruit in the country. Elite prospects at multiple positions continuing to choose Alabama over the deepest competition in the sport's history. And threading through all of it, a coaching staff that is making intentional, strategic decisions. Not panicking, not reacting emotionally, not overreacting to outside noise, but methodically building something that aligns with where college football is going, not where it has been. Kalen DeBoer described the 2026 quarterback competition as more typical than the 3-man battle of 2025, and that word choice matters. Because typical, in this context, means controlled, manageable, healthy. It means the chaos of transition is settling. It means the program is finding its footing. And when programs find their footing after transitions, when the structure kicks in, when the talent starts to coalesce, when the young players who accelerated their development start delivering, that's when things shift dramatically. Let's be honest about something. Because this isn't just a cheerleading session for Alabama football. There are real challenges in front of this program, and pretending otherwise would be doing you a disservice. The 2026 season is a critical one for Kalen DeBoer's tenure. After appearing in the SEC Championship and making the college football playoff in 2025, Alabama lost to Indiana in the Rose Bowl, and that loss wasn't close. Questions emerged about the program's physicality, its rushing attack, and whether it could impose its will on elite opponents the way Alabama teams under Nick Saban historically did. Those questions don't disappear because of a good spring practice. They have to be answered on the field, in the fall, when the lights are on and the stakes are real. The offensive line is replacing 4 starters. That is a massive challenge in any program, and especially in the SEC, where the defensive fronts are among the best in the country. Alabama's offensive line was inconsistent in 2025, and that inconsistency created problems for the passing game and nearly eliminated the running game entirely in key moments. If whoever wins the quarterback competition, whether it's Keelan Russell or Austin Mack, is going to succeed, that offensive line has to develop. And DeBoer acknowledged that there are still a lot of new faces up front, that they're not a finished product. But he also noted their communication has been sharp, and that they're not getting caught off guard. That's a foundational building block. It's not a finished building, but it's a foundation. The running game, which needs to be a central feature of any offense that wants to contend in the SEC, also has to improve. Alabama averaged fewer yards per carry in key moments of 2025 than anyone expected, and that imbalance put too much pressure on the passing game and on the quarterback. If the running game comes back, and the talent is there to make it happen, the offense becomes a completely different animal. Especially with a quarterback who can extend plays with his legs and create problems for defenses in multiple dimensions. These aren't small obstacles, they're legitimate challenges. But here's the thing, they're also exactly the kind of challenges that get solved between spring and fall. In closed practices, in conditioning sessions, in meetings where coaches and players watch film together and build the chemistry that turns a group of talented individuals into a unit. And if Alabama solves even 2 of these 3 problems, offensive line consistency, running game production, and quarterback development, before September, the ceiling of this team is genuinely scary. Now let's pull the camera even further back. Because what Alabama is building isn't just relevant to Crimson Tide fans. It's relevant to every program in the sport. Here's why. For most of college football's modern era, Alabama was the standard. Under Nick Saban, it was the program that every other program measured itself against. The recruiting benchmark, the development model, the championship expectation that everyone else either chased or tried to knock off their throne. When Saban retired and DeBoer took over, many people in the sport quietly exhaled. Not because they wished Alabama harm, but because the competitive pressure that Saban generated was suffocating for everyone around him. With that pressure gone, programs like Georgia, Texas, Ohio State, and others saw an opening to establish themselves as the new standard. And some of them took advantage of it. Georgia, in particular, has operated at an elite level and made it clear they intend to be the standard bearers going forward. Texas has made massive investments in facilities, staff, and NIL to position itself as a destination program for the next generation of elite recruits. But here's the thing that nobody wants to say out loud. Alabama is not going away. The recruiting numbers say so. The development pipeline says so. The quarterback room says so. And the pattern of young players stepping into impact roles ahead of schedule says so. The programs that are trying to establish themselves as the new standard are doing so with the assumption, or at least the hope, that Alabama's window of dominance is closing. That the infrastructure Saban built will slowly degrade without him. That the brand will fade, the recruits will go elsewhere, and the playing field will gradually level. But what if that assumption is wrong? What if the infrastructure is actually stronger than people thought, because it was built to outlast any individual, including the greatest coach the sport has ever seen? What if DeBoer, who was chosen specifically because of his ability to develop quarterbacks and run a modern, innovative offense, is exactly the right person to guide that infrastructure into the next era? And what if the 3 consecutive top 5 quarterback commits, the early impact freshmen, the spring momentum, and the program's continued presence in the rooms of every elite recruit in the country, what if all of that is not a sign of a program trying to survive, but a sign of a program getting ready to remind everyone that it never actually left? Here's the turning point of this entire story. And it's the thing I want you to sit with, because it's the thing that most people aren't thinking about yet. In college football, narratives shift fast. One season can change everything. One quarterback, one win, one moment where the pieces fall together and a team that everyone wrote off suddenly looks like the most dangerous team in the country. Alabama is one Kalen Russell breakout season away from that moment. Think about what that looks like. Russell, the former number 2 overall recruit, developed under the staff that has produced 4 straight NFL draft quarterbacks, takes the starting job and runs with it. The offensive line, rebuilt and hungry after a brutal 2025, gels under the pressure of a competitive SEC schedule. The freshmen from the 2025 class, who already showed what they're capable of, take another leap forward in their sophomore seasons. And the 2026 and 2027 recruits, including eventual 5-star quarterback Elijah Haven, see what's happening and go all in on the belief that Alabama is back at full throttle. That's not a fantasy. That's a realistic sequence of events that is entirely within the range of outcomes for this program in 2026. And if that happens, if even a version of that happens, the narrative flips completely. Suddenly, this isn't a program trying to catch up to Georgia and Texas. This is a program that used a period of perceived transition to quietly rebuild, reload, and emerge stronger than before. Not louder, not more chaotic, but more dangerous, because the teams you have to worry about most aren't the ones making noise. They're the ones moving quietly, building deliberately, and letting the results speak when it counts. Between now and September, Alabama will answer the questions that spring practice could only begin to address. The offensive line will either come together or remain a vulnerability. The quarterback competition will produce a clear winner, and that winner will have to prove himself in the SEC gauntlet before anyone can make definitive claims about the program's ceiling. There will be moments of doubt. There will be games that test this team's identity. There will be moments where the questions about physicality and toughness and depth will come rushing back. But there will also be moments, quiet moments, in closed practice facilities and film rooms, where the answers are being built. Where Kalen Russell is getting one representative closer to commanding that offense the way the best quarterbacks in the country do. Where the offensive linemen are developing the chemistry and communication that turns a raw unit into something reliable. Where the freshmen who took the field in 2025 and proved they belonged are turning that early experience into genuine impact. And none of that will be visible until September 5th, when Alabama kicks off the 2026 season against East Carolina. But the people who pay close enough attention, the ones who watched a day, who read the spring practice reports, who tracked the recruiting trajectory, who connected the dots between Elijah Haven committing and 3 straight cycles of top 5 quarterback additions, those people will have seen it coming. They will have seen the pattern. And patterns don't lie. They reveal direction. They reveal intention. And sometimes, they reveal what's coming next before anyone else is willing to say it out loud. So what's really happening inside Alabama right now? Here's what the evidence actually says. It says that young talent is not just developing, it's accelerating. It says that the most important position in football is entering 2026 with elite competition between 2 capable players and a coaching staff that has the best quarterback development track record in college football. It says that elite recruits, including the number 2 overall player in the 2027 class, are still choosing Alabama. And it says that the program is not in decline, not in chaos, and not in survival mode. It's in adaptation mode. And adaptation, when done correctly, is not a step backward. It's a coiling, a gathering of energy before a release. Maybe what we're watching isn't Alabama trying to get back to the top. Maybe what we're watching is Alabama getting ready to remind the rest of college football that getting to the top and staying there are two different things, and this program was built to do both. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Alabama is quietly reloading for a dominant run? Or do you think the challenges are bigger than the signals suggest? Drop your opinion in the comments. I want to know exactly where you stand on this. And subscribe if you haven't already, because this story is just getting started. The real chapter, the one that answers all of these questions, doesn't begin until September. And you're going to want to be here when it does. Because sometimes the truth isn't in what everyone is talking about. It's in what almost no one is noticing. Until it's too late to ignore.